Jerome Zesui, but it's actually pronounced a little differently from what I can gather, because the commentators are certainly pronouncing it differently. But I think France, will probably be kicking themselves now, because they let the first game go. They played PNG in the first game and were really looking good at 16-0, I think it was at one stage, but they let it slip, and of course, to PNG's credit, they came back through some wonderful work from Adrian Lam. So they put themselves under a bit of pressure, but I think they should win this game, and I'm hoping they do, and I hope they get into the finals for the sake of rugby league itself in France. I think it'd give rugby league a real boost if these guys can go as far as they possibly can in this competition.
Yeah, they lost the first one to PNG, won the second one against Tonga, 28 points to 8. As we take a look at the South African lineup, now they've lost both their fixtures so far, dusted up by Tonga, 66 points to 18, and then they also failed to Papua New Guinea. Not a lot of familiar faces that we recognise, and they're more of a rugby union country, but they'll know how to run the football, and they will know how to make some tackles. Whether they can do it consistently enough is the question that I guess we'll find out. There's no doubt about it. Fellas, any tips for this particular game?
No, I think France will win, but they'll have to be on their mettle. I think that if they go in thinking it's just going to be a matter of turning up, South Africa will play with a lot of passion and of course a lot of enthusiasm. So France will have to be on their guard, but I think France will be just too strong.
I think, just adding to what Lazo said, South Africa would love to wreck the party of France, but France have learnt their lesson, as Lazo pointed out in the first game against PNG, when they went to a handy lead. If they get in front this time, they certainly will go on with it. They won't show any sort of complacency, which brought them down against Papua New Guinea last week.
Let's cross now to Albi in France for the France-South Africa match. Your commentator, Rod Studd.
First penalty of the game going South Africa's way, and Jamie Bloom, the captain, will put it into touch on the far side. Safe touch fine from Bloom. Not a bad kick ahead, and almost hacked on again by Leon Barnard, but it is out of play, and it'll be a French feed to the scrum. Steve Clark, the Australian, refereeing this afternoon in Albi, as the French start to move it for the first time. Final tackle, and the South Africans will be pleased with that stint of tackling. Johnson collects. And picked up and dumped. Kicking early in the tackle count. Jean-Marc Garcia running it back to the halfway line. And the South Africans were much improved in their second game from their first outing against Tonga, when they were given a pasting by the Tongans, but much closer in the game against Papua New Guinea. Gise. Frederick Texido driving it in. But they're only just inside South African territory, the French, at the moment. Maybe a chance to spread it now. Gael Talek going on the burst. He's got many either side and should have offloaded. He got caught between about three options there, Gael Talek. Now the kick from Deveshi. And trapped in goal and a drop out under the sticks. So that's the first good bit of running rugby from the French. And it was Talek's burst straight through the middle. And no way out of there for Ian Noble. And the Rhinos will have to drop out from underneath the posts. Talek had options. But they will at least get the ball back in good field position. That's a penalty. And Talek's starting to enjoy this chance to run headlong into the South African defences. He's made a fair amount of progress, and now they've got a penalty, the French, as well. Freddie Bonke won't be attempting a goal from wide out. 6 times successful with the boot in World Cup 2000, Freddie Bonke, but this time electing to put the ball into corner, put a little bit of pressure on the South African line. We've only played 5 minutes in Albi, and this is France's best attacking opportunity. Texido takes the ball up. Forced back though by a good gang tackle from the Rhinos, 3 of them in there, including Erasmus and Boystons. Gise, no way through for the former Warrington man. Maybe something on here. Well, the South African line holds firm, but for how long? Pompey dragged down. Through the arms of Rinaldi to the standoff Deveshi. Good stuff this from the French. Goes loose though, and the South Africans come away with it. Erasmus burgling the ball in the tackle. And the opening stage of this game could be crucial, really. If South Africa can hold firm for maybe the first quarter, we might possibly see an upset. But you feel if the French can get off to a flyer, then who knows what the score may be at the end of proceedings. And they know they just need to win the game to go through, the French. Good break this time from Rutgerson. Bloom showing the ball twice, 3 times, and now making a half break, Jamie Bloom. Eventually spun round, but still gets the ball away in the tackle. Noble, a little bit of running room, but it's shut down immediately, but Jamie Bloom showing some Super League skills there, the scrum half for South Africa, the Halifax man. Here he is again. Again looking to offload, and he's done it again. Oh, and it's just off the fingertips and into touch. It's half a gap for Archer Dames.
Wait till they're all in. Wait, don't put it in yet. Don't put it in yet. Get your heads in. Hold, where you go.
Well, France have cut them apart this time. The man inside, and this will be the first try of the afternoon. A simple try from the French, all from a scrum inside their own half. Easy enough for the French to split the line, and Jamie Bloom and the South Africans will be less than happy with that. Cassin it was who got the touchdown in the end, but it could have been any one of a number of players supporting, and an easy first try for the French. South African tackling had been up to the mark prior to that, but they were split apart all too easily. And the French are off to a flyer here. Freddie Bonke bursting away. Scored himself in the last game against the Tongans. This time he had Cassin on his inside. And there was no need to go himself for the French fullback, their leading point scorer in the competition. Simple ball inside. And a walk-in try for the French.
No problem. Get him out. Release, release. Well done, fellas. Ball.
Can you hear me? Oh, I can hear that now, yeah. Right, marvellous.
Get away.
Well, Jamie Bloom has argued the toss too long with our referee Steve Clark, and he could be in worse trouble here actually because a card might be coming out. I think it is. Jamie Bloom has said one thing too much to Steve Clark. Hand to the back pocket.
Red and the yellow one. Come here. I'll use one of them and you'll go. You keep it closed.
Well, he's got away with that just, but it is a penalty another 10 metres down the pitch as far as France are concerned. Hasn't done his team any favours there, the South African captain. As the French coach looks on, Gilles Dumas. He'll be satisfied enough with what's happened so far. An early try, a 6-0 lead after just over 10 minutes, and his side on the offensive again here. And Texido has got the ball away in the tackle, and that's a knock-on though from Gail Tallock and the sloppy one.
He's on the scrum, let's go. He's on the scrum, let's go. You let the ball get in before you strike, right? Put it in. Right, mate, put it in.
Picking up from the base of the scrum is Erasmus. And that's Brian Best. Played on the wing in the first game, but at fullback. But he's got plenty of pace. Barnard, Bloom. But no running room and pretty flat from the South Africans, whose main aim you'd feel would be just to keep the scoreline respectable. They certainly did that against Papua New Guinea in the last game, only losing 16-0. Jennings, and now the boot comes. They're giving Bonke running room, and that could be dangerous, but he's knocked down just inside his own 20. Garcia. It's the French ability to offload in the tackle that's causing the problems at the moment for the South Africans. Wolf is knocked down by his opposite number. And now Rinaldi. Bloom's having to do his best into tackling here from scrum half as well, just to keep the French at bay. They lead 6-0 thanks to Jean-Emmanuel Cassin's try. Talek spots half a gap. And Cassin would have been better staying on the floor instead of scrambling for extra yardage. He got bundled into touch.
Change, Jamie, change. Justin and Chris, change. Justin, halfback.
Well, Van Wyken making the initial tackle on Cassin has hurt himself, and that'll be a further blow to the South Africans. Hobbles off, already missing their first choice hooker in Sean Skelton. Bloom at standoff now. They've had to switch things while Van Wyk gets a little bit of treatment. Well, South Africa haven't been in the French half for more than a minute or so, but they're inside French territory again. The ball's gone down. Mark Johnson picks up, but the referee's whistle has already gone. The ball from Bloom was behind Jennings and he couldn't keep hold of it.
South Africa.
Dulac all at sea for a moment there as the French move forward once more, this time with Jean-Pi up to the halfway line and just beyond. The South African tackling has been good, with one exception when Bonke made the break and Cassin scored the try. But the French will take it to them straight up the middle, try and soften the Rhinos up in this first half. Not similar to the way the Tongans did really in their big win. Steve Clarke's whistle goes. Offside, the
Never
decision.
Offside, number 7.
Bloom again. Offside. And Steve Clarke standing no nonsense from the Halifax forward, playing at scrum half for the Rhinos and captaining them. So Bonke may well fancy his chances of a shot at goal here. Straight onto the post pretty much. A 6-point lead already in hand. And the French know that any kind of win really will put them through to the quarterfinals of the competition, which after they lost the first game to Papua New Guinea represents a pretty useful achievement. 2 points or more, a winning margin of that, would be enough to take the French through at the expense of either Tonga or Papua New Guinea, who meet in the final group game. And Bonke, who certainly wasn't foot perfect with his goal kicking in the previous game against Tonga, ought to make it 8-0 from this range. He stuck one over from the conversion from right in front of the post. This is further out, but still very much a simple kick for any international goal kicker. And Bonke has made it look very, very easy, and the French lead 8-0. Bloom restarts. Deep one. Case for perhaps another French penalty, but this time Steve Clarke a little more lenient as Texido takes up the charge. Not for long, bundled backwards by the South Africans. It's good tackling by Erasmus. This time it's Hashish. Now Talek shrugging off a couple of would-be tacklers. Bonke involved. And now Cassin. He's got plenty of pace, he's elusive too. They try to offload. Question of whether that went backwards or not. Referee is happy that it did, and France maintained possession. 50-50 call from Steve Clarke going France's way as Cassin offloaded in heavy traffic. But the fans in Albi starting to warm to the French style of rugby now. They lead already by 8 points to 0. Halfway through this first half. This is the final tackle. Looking for the win that'll take them through into the quarterfinals of the competition. Rinaldi, little chip ahead. It'll go dead. But did it take a deflection off Brian Best? In goal, judge seems to think it did. And France will get possession back here. Well, he might be a little unlucky there. Seemed to strike him rather than the other way around, but the French will get possession back from a drop out into the sticks from South Africa. Bloom's dropout almost reaches halfway. And they'll give it to the battering rams again here. Pascal Jean-Pi. Very good form in the last game against Tonga. De Vichy keeping France ticking. Wolf is at dummy half. And surely this is going to be the second French try. Bonke waltzing his way through. Freddy Bonke dining out on his South African defence, coasting his way through for the second French try. He made the first, he scores the second. The fans lapping it up, and France will very shortly be 14-0 in front, and Bonke will have 10 of those points. No problem for Bonke from bang in front. France 14, South Africa 0. 23 minutes played in Albi.
Marky! Mark! Ballas, Marky, ballas!
That could be straight out. That's a blunder from the kick-off. And Gilles Dumas and the French will be delighted. Everything running their way at the moment. Penalty on halfway. Wouldn't have thought Freddie Bonke would be interested in having a pot shot at goal. The French will surely stick this one as near to the South African line as they can and launch another assault. They're already virtually assured now of their place in the quarter-finals. Just needed to win this game, and with a 14-0 cushion inside 25 minutes, a victory would seem a certainty, but that's far from impressive from Bonke. Got a little bit greedy and bit off more than he could chew in terms of the distance he was aiming for, and South Africa will get the ball back. Over 2 hours since they scored a try in the competition.
Come on, boys, come on! That's a good thing.
Bloom showed it one way and then offloaded. But you can count the number of times South Africa have been in the French half on one hand, the fingers of one hand here. Bloom, midfield bomb. He'll go after it himself, he may well get there, palms it back, loose for just a moment. Picked up by Archer Dams, but it's about as far as he's going to go. Turnover, French ball.
Hey, fellas, let's go. Leave it, James, leave it!
The way things are going, it's shaping up to France definitely through, and then a win or bust tie between Papua New Guinea and Tonga in the final game of the group. But maybe South Africa can get their way back into things here. Ian Noble. Well, that's a loose pass, but it's just about picked up. Did well there, Jaco Boystons, to get hold of that. It was a terrible pass that he received. Hurt to the substitute. Was it a Shepherd? No, says Steve Clark. Erasmus allowed to play on. Another howler of a ball. Bloom's after it. He won't get there. I think there's spotted an offside against the French. Virtually on their own line. Interesting decision.
Back you go. One side. Shot a goal, boys.
Bloom fancies a shot at 2 points just to make sure his side do get on the score sheet. They were nilled by Papua New Guinea. Did rattle up 18 against Tonga, but were hit for 66 at the other end. And Bloom making sure that they do at least get on the score sheet in this one.
7.
Kicked a couple of goals in the first game against Tonga, Jamie Bloom. Well, this should be nothing more than a formality to get his side back within a couple of scores. It'll be 14-2 if he can put over this 2-pointer. And we're heading towards the half-hour mark in Albi in France's final group game. Still very much part of the learning process as far as South Africa are concerned. But Bloom has learnt enough to take his time over a kick. And it was worth it to get the 2 points on the board. It's 14-2 to France.
All right.
Noble will bring it away from his own line. Runs straight into Talek and Jean-Pi. De Villiers. Bloom again. Now Boystons. Always prepared to put in plenty of work, a veteran from the 1995 competition. Just can't make the yardage though, the South Africans. And then they're going to have to resort to the boot of Jamie Bloom. Freddie Bonke is ready to pounce and collects close to his own goal line. What can he produce from deep? Well, no need for anything flashy from the Frenchman. Ball's gone loose and a knock-on given.
What was number 30?
Well, little doubt that it was stolen, but
10 metres.
touch judge and referee not of that opinion. And South Africa have a really good attacking opportunity here. Bloom again dancing one way and showing the ball to two prospective teammates, but didn't bother offloading. Rutgerson close to the French line now, driven back. Half an hour gone, the French with a 12-point lead. Knock on by Eugene Powell. Sloppy one really, and a mistake they could ill afford.
Come on, boys. Here we go.
Vichy, the captain, knocked down as France played a little bit of football deep inside their own territory. This is the substitute, Saw. Wolf going from dummy half himself. Collected by Jamie Bloom, literally. With a bit of help from Jaco Boystons. Steve Clarke's patience tried again by the South Africans.
Don't wait to top.
A fifth penalty to the French. 5-2 in the penalty count. Bonke just make sure he finds a safe touch, and France will launch another assault. 10 minutes away from the half-time interval. To the quarter-finals here, the French. It would be their second victory. They should have won the first game. They threw away a 16-point lead against Papua New Guinea. That would have made this game a formality. Wolf. Again they go to the big men. France's game plan is a pretty simple one in this first half, and this could be another penalty as Jean-Pierre just wasn't allowed to his feet. The French getting frustrated. Steve Clarke more frustrated because the yellow cards come out, and Bloom takes a walk for 10 minutes. Well, he warned him at least twice.
Hey.
This card could suddenly turn colour here. Jamie Bloom
Come back here.
was yellow a moment ago, but there was certainly a less than pleasant remark to Steve Clarke from Jamie Bloom.
Get back out here.
And Clarke has called him back here.
Get back out here now.
And Jamie Bloom could, instead of seeing yellow, see red here. Steve Clarke has made it perfectly clear he's not going to be messed about.
So yeah, go, get off.
And it's red.
Get off.
Jamie Bloom goes, get off, says Steve Clarke. Jamie Bloom is sent off and will leave the World Cup in disgrace. He was banned from the 95 tournament, didn't play in that. And he's seen his last action of the 2000 World Cup. The Halifax man sent off in disgrace. If you can lip read, perhaps best to turn away. Freddie Bonke attempting to take a little bit more retribution and add 2 points to the French tally. He misses, but the fact is that France are now playing 13 against 12 for the thick end of 50 minutes here. And if they weren't near certainties to win this game before Bloom's bit of nonsense, they certainly are now. Well, South Africa managed to get that back more by luck than judgment. He did well to get hold of that. De Villiers. Huge amount of juggling, but managed to keep hold of the football. Well, that was the final tackle, so I don't know what Chris Herden was trying to do there.
Back, South Africa, back! Here's your ball!
Well, France starting to lap this up now. They know they've got this extra man advantage. There's got to be gaps somewhere on the field. As Jason Sands has come off the subs bench, drives it up. Wolf involved again from dummy half. Jean-Pierre couldn't find a way through. But really, France now, they can just move this ball around. The Rhinos are going to be well and truly cut to shreds, you'd feel. That's gone loose. Off who, though? Play on, I think, is Steve Clarke's decision. It is indeed. Question whether it went backwards, it did. And the try on it for Cassin, second of the game. Sent in by Julien Rinaldi. Cassin gets his second. Well, the French were prepared to score the try and then ask questions later about its legitimacy. Steve Clarke was happy it went forward off the South African and wasn't lost in the tackle by the French. And France get their third try and Cassin gets his second. This was the break. There's all sorts of juggling going on. It went forward off Ian Noble, picked up by Julien Rinaldi, and Cassin, well, just like the first try really, on the shoulder of the man making the break to get the 4 points. Freddie Bonke with the circus act. Rinaldi through some pretty weak tackling. Man on his left shoulder was Jean-Emmanuel Cassin. 4 points, France.
Yeah, where is it? Yeah.
And Bonke has 8 points, 10 rather, and that will be 12. Yes, it is.
Gotta get him off.
Go! 20 points to 2, France in front. In the quarter-finals, they could still win this group by running up a cricket score. It would depend on the result of the Papua New Guinea-Tongan game and who won by how many, but if France were to take South Africa to the cleaners here, they'd certainly be favourites to top the group, and that might make their passage to the semi-finals a possibility. That's Wolf as we approach the half-time interval here in Albi. It was a long ball, a risky one by Rinaldi. I suppose the French can afford to take a few risks now. This is Pascal Jean-Pierre. This is looking ominous for the South Africans now already. We haven't even reached half-time yet. Romain Saw. And the South Africans are already at full stretch. That'll be a knock-on, 6 to go, fumbled again about 3 or 4 times, in fact, by Leon Barnard. Well, how he's got away with that, I don't know. He probably rules the first one a charge down, but he seemed to knock it on again. Well, that kick is badly shanked and is going backwards. He did well to collect it, Archer Dams, but that's about all he could do, and it'll be a turnover, and France will have another chance to put points on the board before the half-time interval. And they're certainly starting to relish the opportunity. Arnaud Dulac. Well, the ball's gone loose in the tackle. Another decision for Steve Clarke. Dulac saying, what on earth's happened there? Penalty France. Yeah, just ripped out in the tackle. Jennings the culprit. Close to half-time, and Bonke may well feel the best option is to take a chance at the 2 points rather than go for more. Well, that was clearly accidental, the charge down in the first place, but did he knock it on again subsequently? Yes, he did. Four from 6.
Il n'y a que moi. Hein? Il n'y a que moi.
Oui, non, mais des fois qu'ils veulent faire.
Freddie Bonke with 4 successful kicks already this afternoon, aiming for the nap hand just before the half-time break. This would stretch the lead to 20 clear points. The game over as a contest. Just a question of how many now, no longer a question of who. Bonke strikes, and Bonke misses for the second time. Wasn't far away. Final stages of the first half, which has been dominated by the French as expected. This is Jean-Pierre bouncing out of a couple of tackles, almost squirming free. Vincent Wolf in at acting half-back once more. There could be another trial before half-time if Gael Talek has got anything to do with it. Talek on a bulldozing barge towards that South African try line. The hooter goes. Did they play it in time? Referee waves play on. Final tackle. Could end up with a try, and it will. Guisset, Jérôme Guisset, straight through the gap like a double-decker bus over the line, and France make it 24 points to 2, and Bonke will surely make it 26 on the stroke of half-time with the conversion. Well, it was Gael Talek who did most of the damage. Took 3 men to bring him down in the end, Talek. And from the play of the ball, the hooter went just after that. They managed to work it to Guisset, and despite a high shot from the centre Barnard, the former Warrington man was over underneath the post. That's the conversion from Freddie Bonke to Jérôme Guisset's try, and France have a comfortable lead at half-time. 26 points to 2, 2 for Cassin, 1 for Bonke, 1 for Guisset. Blum with a penalty, but that was his last act of the game. Back-chatting the referee Steve Clarke, a red card for Jamie Blum, and a red light as far as South Africa is concerned, because they're on pacing already, and this could be any score by the second half. 26-2 France at half-time. starting the second half as they ended the first, and Gael Talek romping away down this near touchline. He does get the ball inside to Kasai eventually, but he's dragged down. But well, it could be an abacus job in this second half. South Africa down to 12 men following the sending off of Jamie Bloom. Really could be any score. This is Dulac. And France playing with the confidence of a side that know they're already through to the quarterfinals now. Just needed to win this game, and that already a certainty. And that's another try. Comfortable stuff for the French. Try in the second half coming as early as the first minute. And already 32 points in front, assuming Bonke can convert from just to the side of the sticks. The gaps everywhere, but it was the kick that did the damage this time. And Pascal Jeanpi was first to the ball. From the little chip ahead from the captain, Fabien Devichy. And once Jeanpi had collected, the try was a certainty. All he needed to do was spin out of the fullback's tackle and crash over. Easy for Freddie Bonke. His sixth conversion, 32-2. It's going to be a very long second half for the South Africans. Offloads to Jean-Marc Garcia, and Garcia squirms out of a couple of tackles. Garcia who scored in the win over Tonga. This is Jason Sands. He, like Wolf at dummy half, played in that first season for Paris Saint-Germain, the Super League, 5 years ago. The kick finds touch, and the French quite content to make this 12-man South African team work. A 40-20. More problems for the South Africans. And it's going to be another 6 points to the French. That's Jeanpi again. He's got his second in a matter of 2 minutes. Pascal Jeanpi. Well, that was simplicity itself. From the 40-20, Jeanpi just picked up from the base of the scrum, through one dummy. The whole South African side bought it, and Jeanpi buys himself another 4 points. And France now, if Tonga do beat Papua New Guinea in the final game, will be strong favourites to win the group, because the points difference is rattling round at a fair rate as far as the French are concerned. Bonke adds another 2. 38 points to 2 here to France, and still 35 minutes left. Well, Noble has hurt himself in making the big hit. So effectively at the moment, South Africa are down to 11 men, and it's in Disneyland, is Ian Noble. And you think Steve Clarke might want to stop that, actually, because he could be in some trouble, Ian Noble, but the French play on, nevertheless. Carrasco and now Wolf. There's gaps everywhere here. The French fancy it. Sands just manages to stay within this near touchline by a matter of inches. This is the final tackle. The second time of asking, Brian Best gets hold of it. He's quick Best, he can run. But this is going to be a long, long afternoon for the South African Rhinos in this second half. Just a damage limitation exercise. Leon Barnard scored a try in the first game against Tonga, but South Africa haven't looked like scoring a try this afternoon. Try the 40-20 here, will Pierre van Wyk. Well, he got the 40 part, but not the 20.
Yourself with the camera. Sorry.
A Wolf goes himself here from dummy half, looking for half a gap, knocked on by Talek. Maybe something here for the South Africans from the hooker Justin Jennings. From a French mistake. Best. But if they give him running room, he'll spot the gap. Brian Best, he scored a couple of tries in the warm-up game against Wales and one in the game against Tonga. Jennings again from dummy half. Cassin has to make the tackle. This is as close as South Africa have been all afternoon. Johnson has no space. Salford's leading try scorer last season. Jennings, Van Wyk again. A long ball is spilled, went backwards, says Steve Clarke, and picked up by Jaco Boysens. Jean-Pierre thought he'd got one in the eye, but play on is the call. And that's the final tackle. So what the 12 men South Africans can conjure up here. Van Wyk, chip ahead, should be mopped up comfortably. But they will at least get the goal line dropout. Probably their best little spell of the game, the South Africans.
Okay. Miss. Yes, it missed.
Despan wasn't able to get out from underneath his own post. So here they come again, the Rhinos. Van Wyk once more. Jennings. These two having to do most of the string pulling in the absence of Bloom, sent off 10 minutes before half-time. Loose pass knocked on. He was asking a lot of the big man, Richard Lowe, to bend down and pick that one up. A long way down from there.
Yes.
Garcia. He's hurt himself, Jean-Marc Garcia. Goes down clutching his left shoulder. The South Africans aren't taking a backward step despite being on the wrong end of a pasting here in Albi. But they've tried Steve Clarke's patience a little too long. Jerome Guisset was the man getting an unwanted face rub, a penalty to France. 10 minutes gone in this second half. 38-2, two Frenchmen on a hat-trick in Jean-Emmanuel Cassin and Pascal Jean-Pierre. That's Garcia, who's injured. And you certainly wouldn't want to bet against another French try in this sequence of 6, the way things are going. Heshish. Well, they're all over him again here, and Steve Clarke might be forced to blow the whistle one more time. He doesn't. Wolf. Despin. Little run around involving Deveshy, and the burst is on it again. Deveshy has got a man outside him. Is that Jean-Pierre again looking for a hat-trick? Is he over? If he is, it's a hat-trick. Well, he's delighted with that. Second half hat-trick for Pascal Jean-Pierre. He's been playing for the French for 7 years, and this will be his highlight of his international career. A hat-trick in just 12 second half minutes for Pascal Jean-Pierre. The game. Guisset was involved. He fed Fabien Deveshy, and on his shoulder was Pascal Jean-Pierre. Didn't really have the pace to go, but managed to just force himself over with a second effort to claim the hat-trick. (42-2) and a chance to make it 44-2 as far as the French are concerned. Bonke does so. Bonke with a bit of juggling, went backwards according to the in-goal judge and Steve Clarke, the referee, and Bonke takes France well outside their 20-metre zone. Wolf, it's going to be a tough last half an hour or so as far as South Africa is concerned, with only 12 men. They've had 12 men since 10 minutes before half-time. Romain Saur made his debut for South Africa, manages to offload this down to Servon, and Servon will go down that far touchline. Can he stay in the field of play? He can just. Well, was he dragged into touch, or was he still moving? I think the referee will give the South Africans the benefit of that decision, but Claude Servon was skating away down that far touchline from the ball from Deveshy, and he did well there, Archidam. Johnson trying to break through a tackle. Told to play it by the referee, Jennings. And the kick comes from Erasmus. Hoists a high one, plenty of Frenchmen underneath it, just dependent on the bounce, and Bonke makes an awful hash of it. But in his defence, safety first of getting it behind the dead ball line. He's hurt himself, I think, Freddie Bonke, in that, and that could be a significant blow to the French. This game's well and truly all wrapped up, but they wouldn't want to lose one of their star men for the quarter-finals. And Bonke fell awkwardly on his left wrist as he tried to catch that. He certainly wasn't trying to knock it dead. He was trying to catch it in goal and get the 20-metre tap, but it eluded him, and then he fell awkwardly on his left wrist. There would seem little point in continuing with Freddie Bonke if he's not fully fit. This game's wrapped up, they're in the quarter-finals. But Bonke insisting that he's fit to carry on and drops out himself. 25 minutes left. As Erasmus takes the big drive in, runs headlong into Pascal Jeanpi, who'll certainly be odds on for man of the match at this stage after a hat-trick of tries, and a whirlwind hat-trick at that early in the second half. The France side determined to keep their line intact here. Penalty against them though, a little bit of afters, and now Richard Lowe is less than happy with the treatment he was receiving. A few fingers being pointed. And it was Hashish who was administering the afters, and you can see, well, the elbow was involved. No wonder Lowe was a little bit brassed off with things.
8, France. Go. Parlez-vous anglais? English?
No.
Okay. Right, the report from the touch judge is that you started it. No. On the ground, you give him one, and then when you stood up, you reacted to the first one, and then you give him another big one. So here we go. He's going to have a spell for 10 with the old yellow card. See you.
Well, the sin bin comes for Hashish, which levels it up at 12 all. Steve Clark satisfied that it was he who'd started the incident, Hashish, and Richard Lowe was just finishing it off. But how he can sin bin one and not the other remains a mystery. What he has done is levelled up the sides at 12 all. At least for 10 minutes. South Africa have taken a quick tap. This is Noble. Played for Zimbabwe in the 1991 Rugby Union World Cup. Barnard. De Villiers is trying to find a way through. I don't think Steve Clark's going to stand for that. And Quinton de Villiers, we hadn't played rugby league before the trials, so that all in wrestling might be his game. Jerome Guisset among those taking a well-earned breather. France have got this wrapped up and they'll top the group now if Tonga do beat Papua New Guinea. Unless Papua New Guinea are taken to the absolute cleaners by the Tongans. And France have certainly got power to add to their score here. There's plenty of time left, a full 20 minutes. But it is 12 against 12 at the moment following the sin-binning of Hashish. Jeanpi got the ball away to Deveshy. Bonke. Good rugby here from the French. Might be a little bit of a gap for Savon. Savon, the leading try scorer in France over the last 2 seasons, certainly knows where the try line is. And again, though, he seems to know where the touch line is. Got bundled into touch.
Open.
Oh, it's still a change, isn't it? It's a fight,
Well, could this be something of a consolation for the South Africans? A big break from Rutgerson, the man who's captaining the side in the absence of Bloom. Sent off in the first half. Mark Johnson does well. Got away from a couple of tackles, Mark Johnson. He's in the shot window, having been cut by the Salford City Reds at the end of last season. Now it's Hendrik Mulder. 12 against 12 at the moment after the sin-binning of Heshish. Maybe the South Africans can take advantage. Johnson looking for the try line. Put it straight to the breadbasket of Rasmus, who knocked it on. Well, South Africa not taking advantage of their first real opportunity. It was a big break in the first place by Rutgerson, and then Johnson and some Laurel and Hardy stuff, and the attack comes to nothing. Tuxedo didn't like the second part of the tackle, that's for sure. There's a few high shots flying around here. Steve Clark says that was across the shoulder. Carrasco. They'll look for the 40-20 here. Will Rinaldi. He won't find it. All he'll do is find the arms of Archidam. 44 points to 2 as Barnard makes half a break up to the halfway line. Good spell this for the South Africans in the last 5 or 6 minutes. You could say the French have taken their foot off the gas. Could do with another couple of tries insurance, the French, in order to make their chances of topping the group even higher. They'll know that they will top the group if Tonga beat Papua New Guinea by anything less than a huge margin, as Jennings knocks on. One of the survivors from the 1995 World Cup. Pass was just behind him, and he was always fighting a losing battle to keep control. Double knock on in the end. Jean-P picks up the pieces. This is Despin, David Despin. And now it's Arnaud Dulac. Just sense the South Africans really are starting to tire a bit now. Frederic Tuxedo. Cassin scored a couple of tries in the first half, and he's got it away this time to Jean-Marc Garcia. Was he in touch? He's not. Garcia, the most capped of the current crop of French internationals. Tuxedo again, there's men queuing up outside. Despin, they can move it here. There's got to be a try on surely for Dulac. And he'll get it out to his winger. And Claude Servan, the leading scorer in France, leading try scorer in France over the past couple of seasons, gets another 4-pointer. And for South Africa, the floodgates surely are about to open. They'll go past 50 now, the French, if Bonke can convert. Moving the ball through any number of hands, and they really were queuing up. Despin, and then Dulac, and Servan coming back on the inside, and a free run to the try line. Freddie Bonke hoists the half-century, or well, they changed the goal kicker, but the half-century is hoisted as far as the French are concerned. And Bonke taking a break after the injury, and Julien Rinaldi tags on the 2 points to make it 50.
Let's go, Jono!
Wolf knocks on. Well, you can understand the French starting to throw the ball around a bit now with time ticking away. And a big win already guaranteed.
You'll join your mate, you keep that up. All of you will join them. Both sides, exactly. You've had one off both sides.
Jennings gets the ball away. Johnson out on this wing, wanting a slice of the action. And it's just the touchline that gets a slice of the action with Brian Best.
Listen. Both sides, listen. If there is any rubbish, whatsoever, dirty play whatsoever, I will penalise, and I won't be afraid to use a red card. That's a warning to all of you. Now let's cool it down, eh?
Steve Clark starting to read the riot act here. There's been a few scuffles simmering before and after the Jamie Bloom sending off. Ashish was sin-binned. And Steve Clark saying he'll use his cards again if he needs to. France are interested in scoring tries now, that's all they're bothered about. Big score on the cards, already 50 clocked up. That was Romain Sorg. Made his debut against the South Africans back in 1997. And is enjoying the experience of coming off the bench to play against the same opposition once more. Rinaldi with a little sniping run. Wolf again. Oh, and the juggling continues. And South Africa might be able to fashion an opportunity for themselves here with Jennings. He's got the ball wide to Mark Johnson. Johnson bounces off one tackle but runs headlong into David Despin. Big hits going in there. Surprisingly, really, in a game that's uncompetitive in terms of the scoreline. But both sides wanted to leave their mark, particularly perhaps the South Africans in their final game of the tournament. France will be trying to play in the later stages, and they've got another chance here with Wolf. Now Carrasco. And again, that's gone loose in the tackle. Knock on, says Steve Clark. Play on. Things have gone very, very scrappy. Jaco Boystons, one of the survivors from '95, and then came to play in England with Dewsbury. Tony Fisher, the South African coach in the World Cup, then the boss of Dewsbury, brought him over for a short spell. Certainly not afraid to put his head down and go into the tackles. 10 minutes left in Albi. The French in the quarter-finals. No problem for Despin, mopping up at full-back. Ashish back on, the French back to a full complement now for the remainder of the game. South Africa have had to play without their captain and star player Jamie Bloom since 10 minutes before half-time, when he walked after saying one word too many to referee Steve Clark. Well, play on is the cry because it was charged down, and France will have another 6 to go from there. Hashish was quickly onto it after the kick was charged down. So France in good field position with a stack of tackles to come here. Despin, he finds Cassin. Cassin has found Jean-Marc Garcia. There's another try on here, surely. Inches short. Fabien Deveschi, the captain, trying to make his mark on proceedings on the try line, and that's a try. A walk-in, really, for Gael Talek. A man of his strength will not be stopped from that kind of range. Another try for the French. And for South Africa, it's been like pushing custard uphill ever since the sending off of Jamie Bloom. The 9th try for the French. Cassano got 2 in the first half. Jean-Marc Garcia involved. And then Deveschi, who almost thought he'd score himself, the skipper. Inches short when he was hauled down by Chris Hunter. Then the easy short ball to Talek. Boom, over the try line, no problems. 4 points. Rinaldi taking over the goal-kicking duties and shaving the outside of the post. 54-2. They get lucky with the bounce, the South Africans there. You wouldn't have thought the short kick-up was the best policy, with the blue juggernaut hurtling towards their line at every opportunity. Dams makes the break. Has he got any support this time? He hasn't. There's a late call up to the South African squad, and almost got their first try of this game. Boyston's taking up the cudgel to within 10 metres. Well, France have the target of keeping South Africa trialists in their sights. This is Rutgerson. The chip ahead, dead. Texido. On the final tackle, whacked straight up in the air. Johnson has a flap at it, knocked down. A bit of pushing and shoving. Mark Johnson penalised by Steve Clark. Just grabbed at the ankle of Laurent Carrasco.
He pulled the leg out. Mate, he pulled the leg out right from underneath the bloke. Hey, yes. Yep. No, got it, already sent him around. Too late. Too late.
So Johnson penalised whilst in possession of the football, and the French are going to give everyone a breather, I think, here. Julien Rinaldi only won his first cap for the French last year, but he's certainly a man fitting in at scrum half and looking the business at the moment. And he'll just take time to calm everything down with only 5 minutes left. An attempt to pop over another couple of points, which would stretch the French lead to 56 points to 2. It's already South Africa's heaviest defeat of this tournament, but it won't surpass the drubbing they got from the Australians in the World Cup of 1995 when they lost by 80 points. But they are now trailing by 54 points in this one at 56 points to 2.
Anis.
Well, France over-elaborating inside their own quarter with a couple of minutes left. It's been a brave effort in the second half from the South Africans. They were trailing 26-2 at half-time and only 12 men. They battled well in this second half. Maybe they can get some just reward for that. Jennings is at acting half-back. They wanted a penalty there. It wasn't coming. Brian Best, the man appealing. Herter. And they forced their way over on this left-hand side. There might be a try here on for de Villiers. He's claiming it. He's claiming the try. Steve Clarke says, yes, that'll do me, 4 points.
Armed him into the ground.
Well, they've got some reward for their efforts, the South Africans. Quinton de Villiers gets the try. Very much a novice at rugby league. One of the rugby union converts, but still had the strength to force his way through a couple of French tackles. Some of the French thought his arm was already down before the ball was. Well, one arm was, but the ball carrying arm was still moving. And Steve Clarke awards the try.
Et c'est parti que l'essai de numéro 11, Richardson. France 56, Afrique du Sud 6.
Conversions missed. 56-6.
Grâce à sa large victoire, puisqu'il reste que quelques secondes, l'équipe de France sera qualifiée pour le deuxième tour de la Coupe du Monde.
The French kick-off. Time ticking away in Albi. The French with a 50-point victory. Huge win, which increases their points difference to plus 67. And there goes the hooter in Albi. The French have recorded a 50-point win. They reached the first World Cup final. They won't reach this one, but they have at least showed this afternoon that they may give their quarter-final opponents a run for their money. And they will top the group as well if Tonga beat Papua New Guinea, but by fewer than 40 points. The hero, Pascal Jeanpi, with a hat-trick of tries, and France have beaten South Africa. The sending off of Jamie Bloom 10 minutes before half-time, the turning point. France taking full advantage to win by 56 points to 6.
6 points to 6, France up over South Africa. Casson got 3 tries, Jeanpi 2 tries, and fairly successful with the boots as well for their 56 points. South Africa just the 1 try, and I guess the turning point in the match, Glenn Lazarus, came when Jamie Bloom was sent from the field about 10 minutes prior to half-time. Really, they were trailing 14-2 at that stage, and geez, after that, it just opened up.
Yeah, they were up against it from the kick. Jerome Zesui, but it's actually pronounced a little differently from what I can gather, because the commentators are certainly pronouncing it differently. But I think France, would probably be kicking themselves now because they let the first game go. They played PNG in the first game and were really looking good at 16-0, I think it was at one stage, but they let it slip, and of course, to PNG's credit, they came back through some wonderful work from Adrian Lamb. So they put themselves under a bit of pressure, but I think they should win this game, and I'm hoping they do, and I hope they get into the finals for the sake of rugby league itself in France. I think it'd give rugby league a real boost if these guys can go as far as they possibly can in this competition.
Yeah, they lost the first one to PNG, won the second one against Tonga 28 points to 8. As we take a look at the South African lineup, now they've lost both their fixtures so far, dusted up by Tonga 66 points to 18, and then they also failed to Papua New Guinea. Not a lot of familiar faces that we recognise, and they're more of a rugby union country, but they'll know how to run the football and they will know how to make some tackles. Whether they can do it consistently enough is the question that I guess we'll find out. There's no doubt about it. Fellas, any tips for this particular game?
No, I think France will win, but they'll have to be on their mettle. I think that if they go in thinking it's just going to be a matter of turning up, South Africa will play with a lot of passion and of course a lot of enthusiasm. So France will have to be on their guard, but I think France will be just too strong.
I think just adding to what Lazo said, South Africa would love to wreck the party of France, but France have learnt their lesson, as Lazo pointed out in the first game against PNG when they went to a handy lead. If they get in front this time, they certainly will go on with it. They won't show any sort of complacency, which brought them down against Papua New Guinea last week.
Let's cross now to Albi in France for the France-South Africa match. Your commentator, Rod Studd.
Jerome Zesui, but it's actually pronounced a little differently from what I can gather, because the commentators are certainly pronouncing it differently. But I think France, will probably be kicking themselves now because they let the first game go. They played PNG in the first game and were really looking good at 16-0, I think it was at one stage, but they let it slip, and of course, to PNG's credit, they came back through some wonderful work from Adrian Lam. So they put themselves under a bit of pressure, but I think they should win this game, and I'm hoping they do, and I hope they get into the finals for the sake of rugby league itself in France. I think it'd give rugby league a real boost if these guys can go as far as they possibly can in this competition.
Yeah, they lost the first one to PNG, won the second one against Tonga, 28 points to 8. As we take a look at the South African lineup, now they've lost both their fixtures so far, dusted up by Tonga, 66 points to 18, and then they also failed to Papua New Guinea. Not a lot of familiar faces that we recognise, and they're more of a rugby union country, but they'll know how to run the football and they will know how to make some tackles. Whether they can do it consistently enough is the question that I guess we'll find out. There's no doubt about that. Fellas, any tips for this particular game?
No, I think France will win, but they'll have to be on their mettle. I think that if they go in thinking it's just going to be a matter of turning up, South Africa will play with a lot of passion and of course a lot of enthusiasm. So France will have to be on their guard, but I think France will be just too strong.
I think just adding to what Lazo said, South Africa would love to wreck the party of France, but France have learnt their lesson, as Lazo pointed out in the first game against PNG when they went to a handy lead. If they get in front this time, they certainly will go on with it. They won't show any sort of complacency, which brought them down against Papua New Guinea last week.
Let's cross now to Albi in France for the France-South Africa match. Your commentator, Rod Studd.
Jerome Zesui, but it's actually pronounced a little differently from what I can gather, because the commentators are certainly pronouncing it differently. But I think France, would probably be kicking themselves now because they let the first game go. They played PNG in the first game and were really looking good at 16-0, I think it was at one stage, but they let it slip, and of course, to PNG's credit, they came back through some wonderful work from Adrian Lam. So they put themselves under a bit of pressure, but I think they should win this game, and I'm hoping they do, and I hope they get into the finals for the sake of rugby league itself in France. I think it'd give rugby league a real boost if these guys can go as far as they possibly can in this competition.
Yeah, they lost the first one to PNG, won the second one against Tonga 28 points to 8. As we take a look at the South African lineup, now they've lost both their fixtures so far, dusted up by Tonga 66 points to 18, and then they also failed to Papua New Guinea. Not a lot of familiar faces that we recognise, and they're more of a rugby union country. But they'll know how to run the football, and they will know how to make some tackles. Whether they can do it consistently enough is the question that I guess we'll find out. There's no doubt about it. Fellas, any tips for this particular game?
No, I think France will win, but they'll have to be on their mettle. I think that if they go in thinking it's just going to be a matter of turning up, South Africa will play with a lot of passion and of course a lot of enthusiasm. So France will have to be on their guard, but I think France will be just too strong.
I think just adding to what Lazo said, South Africa would love to wreck the party of France, but France have learnt their lesson. As Lazo pointed out in the first game against PNG, when they went to a handy lead, if they get in front this time, they certainly will go on with it. They won't show any sort of complacency, which brought them down against Papua New Guinea last week.
Let's cross now to Albi in France for the France-South Africa match. Your commentator, Rod Studd.
Jerome Zesui, but it's actually pronounced a little differently from what I can gather, because the commentators are certainly pronouncing it differently. But I think France would probably be kicking themselves now because they let the first game go. They played PNG in the first game and were really looking good at 16-0, I think it was at one stage, but they let it slip, and of course, to PNG's credit, they came back through some wonderful work from Adrian Lam. So they put themselves under a bit of pressure, but I think they should win this game, and I'm hoping they do, and I hope they get into the finals for the sake of rugby league itself in France. I think it'd give rugby league a real boost if these guys can go as far as they possibly can in this competition.
Yeah, they lost the first one to PNG, won the second one against Tonga 28 points to 8. As we take a look at the South African lineup, now they've lost both their fixtures so far, dusted up by Tonga 66 points to 18, and then they also failed to Papua New Guinea. Not a lot of familiar faces that we recognise, and they're more of a rugby union country. But they'll know how to run the football, and they will know how to make some tackles. Whether they can do it consistently enough is the question that I guess we'll find out. There's no doubt about it. Fellas, any tips for this particular game?
No, I think France will win, but they'll have to be on their mettle. I think that if they go in thinking it's just going to be a matter of turning up, South Africa will play with a lot of passion and of course a lot of enthusiasm. So France will have to be on their guard, but I think France will be just too strong.
I think just adding to what Lazo said, South Africa would love to wreck the party of France, but France have learnt their lesson. As Lazo pointed out in the first game against PNG, when they went to a handy lead, if they get in front this time, they certainly will go on with it. They won't show any sort of complacency, which brought them down against Papua New Guinea last week.
Let's cross now to Albi in France for the France-South Africa match. Your commentator, Rod Studd.